Hello and welcome to last episode on selling process. I am Garima Surana and the subject expert of this episode is Dr. Sabiha Khan, teaching at Center for Management Studies, will explain you selling process in detail. Before we understand the selling process, we need to understand that in selling, it is the exchange process where goods and services are exchanged, and only after the attention was aroused by the organization through information spread or by using any communication platform, the consumer or customer desire for the product or services and will act for the purchase. Territory management is also important in personal selling as it is important to tap different kinds of customers. These customers are spread across the various geographical locations. Proper planning and allocation help the organizations to touch base with these customers at regular intervals depending on their potential buying pattern will help the salespersons to not only sell but also will help to excel in selling. Advertising and sales promotion also help the salesperson to sell as they get a background for selling the products or services as buyers see the products or services at various media platforms along with the latest promotional schemes attached with it. Selling process. In our earlier discussions, we spoke about stages of selling process. Once the salesperson is aware of psychological stages that a customer goes through, he is in a position to convert the attention into action. Now we turn our attention to personal selling efforts, more particularly outdoor, consisting of sales process through which a prospect is transformed into a customer. Sales process or selling process refers to sequential or series of actions undertaken by a salesperson to convert a prospect into a customer. In other words, selling process is a series of logical steps taken by a salesperson in order to induce prospects to take the desired actions leading to purchase and post-purchase satisfaction. It is well known that the selling process occurs in stages. There are 7 steps of selling process. They are as follows: prospecting, pre-approach, the approach, presentation and demonstration, handling objections, closing the sales, follow-ups. All the stages are interlinked and salesperson cannot miss or ignore any step. Prospecting. Prospecting is a word commonly used in mining. When some kind of underground resources are searched for, it is known as prospecting. It is the first step in selling process. Here, the salesperson needs to search for the potential buyers. It also includes the identifying the potential needs and increasing orders from existing customers. These needs later on are converted into wants and transformed into purchases of the products and services. The importance of prospecting can hardly be ignored in modern day's business world since it is locating the prospects. An efficient salesperson always look out for prospects, hence it is a continuous process. It is also helpful in achieving the targets. The salesperson has to develop an effective plan of prospecting for increasing the sales volume of the organization. Since the manufacturer always produces goods in anticipation of demand, the salesperson is required to create for the products on a continuous basis. Successful prospecting results in enhanced sales for the organization on one hand and incremental commission for the sales force on the other. It is needless to say that the success or failure of the firm depends a lot on the prospecting ability of its sales force. Prospecting is a systematic search for the prospective buyer through proper scanning and screening by the salesperson. A lot of time and energy can be saved by calling only those prospects who are most likely customers. In other words, the person to whom there is the least chance of selling is known as suspects. Therefore, successful prospecting enables a salesperson to concentrate his sales efforts on prospects exclusively and avoid suspects as far as possible. In the present era of fast innovations and evolutions of products and services, buyers most often remain unaware and indifferent to the new products and services. Organizations intending to sell such products and services therefore need aggressive prospecting in order to find out the potential buyers who are scattered through the length and breadth of the country. Therefore, most modern products and services can reach the customers only through systematic and planned prospecting system adopted by the organization. In case of consumer durables, where the frequency of the product purchased is not frequent, in such cases, prospecting will take another angle in terms of service reminders or annual maintenance contract to remain fresh in the memory of the customers. The salesperson uses some qualifying methods to make a fair judgment of the prospects. Individuals who possesses certain characteristics is called a qualifying or good prospect. The basic characteristics of a good prospect are as follows. A. Needs to buy before approaching a prospect. The salesperson should ensure that the need for the product or service he intends to sell really exists. The need may be open or dormant, but there must be the minimum clue of the existence of need is the fundamental requirement of all purchases. Hence, no need means there are no prospects. B. Ability to buy. It means the purchasing power of the individual. Therefore, while analyzing the prospects, the financial capacity and willingness to spend the same for the concerned product or services need to be examined carefully by the salesman and given due importance. The salesperson has to examine whether the prospect is capable of paying and willing to spend the needed amount or not. C. Authority to buy. Another important characteristic of a good prospect is the requisite authority. The salesperson has to ensure whether the prospect has the necessary authority to buy, since a deal takes place under legal and moral grounds. A person may have the requisite need ability buy in the absence of the reputed authority, he cannot qualify to be a good prospect. For example, a sale to a minor is not valid. You can't buy certain medicines without doctor's prescription. Therefore, the salesperson has to clearly identify the people who have the necessary authority to buy. Then the salesperson can concentrate his efforts exclusively on them only. D. Accessibility. Certain people have the need, purchasing power, and the authority to buy. Even the presence of these three characteristics, he cannot be considered as a prospect unless and until he is approachable with usual efforts and expenses. Therefore, accessibility is another important characteristic of a good prospect. In fact, a good prospect is one who is approachable or who can be contacted easily. If the person to be contacted enjoys very high status, like the top executive of a company directly, he cannot be termed as a prospect. Therefore, if the prospect is beyond reach and approach with a reasonable effort, the salesperson has to forego such prospect. Method of prospecting. The selling process starts with collecting demographic information regarding individuals who are likely to be the potential customer. As pointed out earlier, searching of persons who are most likely supposed to purchase is called prospecting. There are several methods of prospecting or collecting information about the likely customers. It depends on the salesperson to adapt a specific method for prospecting, and they are as follows. Endless chain or family tree method. This is one of the most important and popular method of prospecting. Under this method, salesman, while interviewing a prospect, can collect addresses and names of relatives and friends and family members of prospects. A satisfied customer willingly provides all these details, hence the chain becomes endless. The main advantage of this method is that it is continuous and endless process. Also, satisfied customers makes a good and favorable impression in the mind of the prospect much before salesmen actually meet him. Canvassing or cold turkey method. Under this method, the salesman prepares a random list of individuals with the assumption that they are most likely buyers. Salesman starts meeting them without prior knowledge of their taste, likes, financial status, and canvasses about the product or services he intends to sell. Sometimes these calls turn out to be wastage. It is one of important methods of meeting new business in unexplored areas. This method has been useful in selling tangible products on door-to-door basis. Center of influence method. Under this method, the salesman takes help from influential people who are willing to provide information regarding prospects. Such influential people may include doctors, social workers, politicians, important personalities. Sometimes they may even introduce salesmen to prospects. This is popular in selling insurance, share investments, etc. Personal observation method. It is also known as eye and ear method. An intelligent salesman locates his prospects everywhere while attending public functions, in cinema hall, or while traveling. Direct mail or telephone method. Under this method, the salesmen approach the former buyers and present users directly through mail or telephone calls and inform them about new products and latest developments in the existing products. This method helps salesmen in creating a need for the product in the minds of the prospect. This method is suitable for introducing new products in the markets. Company records. The company record contains the names and addresses of the past and present customers. By looking at the records, salesman can visit the customers and renew their sales. This method is useful in repeated purchases items. Spotters method. Another method of prospecting is to use junior salesmen who are given the responsibility of spotting the prospects and report it to seniors. Later on, senior salesmen visit prospects and explain the features of the products and features. This method is useful in selling televisions, vacuum cleaners, etc. Bird dog method. As the name suggests, bird dog is the name given to the person who visits households daily, like newspaper boy, watchman, and the milk supplier. They provide basic information related to household on which salesmen can proceed to identify the prospects for their products and services. Based on dependable information collected from bird dogs, the salesman can easily establish contact with a large number of potential buyers over a short period of time. Public exhibitions and demonstrations. Companies organize public exhibitions and demonstrations as part of their promotional campaign at regular intervals. The selling staffs usually participate in such exhibitions. The visitors are considered as leads, and names and addresses of such individuals are noted, and they are later contacted for demonstration. The second step in selling process is pre-approach. As soon as salesman has list of prospects, he approaches them. Prospecting ends here and the stage of pre-approach begins. Pre-approach means getting more detailed information about the potential buyers. It may include eating habits, preferences, nature, behavior, economic status, and so on. These important information influence the buying behavior of the customers. The salesman is able to make successful sales presentation on sound lines. Importance of pre-approach. Saves valuable time, effort and energy by concentrating on those prospects exclusively that are most likely to buy. Pre-approach makes salesmen more confident and enthusiastic while meeting the prospect. It helps in knowing beforehand about the needs and requirements of the prospects in the most detailed manner possible. Salesmen can plan sales talk on scientific lines. For the purpose of pre-approach, the sources of information are company records, customers, special investigations, fellow salesmen, directories and retailers. The term approach means meeting the prospect in person by the salesman. At this stage, salesman gets ample opportunity and enough time to attract attention, to arouse interest and desire of the prospects in the product and services he intends to sell. Salesman aims to secure favorable attention from prospect and create enough interest so that prospect most willingly meets salesman. During first few minutes, customer decides whether he will purchase or not. On the other hand, salesman also comes to know whether the person is interested in the product or not. Approach is most vital for the success or failure of the business. Presentation and demonstration. The fourth step in selling process is presentation. It is the main body of sale which provides an opportunity to the salesman to justify his product before the potential buyers. Earlier stages like prospecting, pre-approach, approach and mental process, presentation is physical process in which product is physically in the hands of prospective buyer. An effective presentation helps people to become aware of their needs in specific term and precise manner. Sometimes a well-planned presentation compels such customers to take favorable decision in purchase. Presentation provides them an opportunity to compare and choose the best product to suit their specific need. There are certain essential features of a good presentation. They are arousing interest, promptness in presentation, clarity in presentation, showing proper quantity and quality, demonstration and dramatization, appealing the senses, suggesting tests, handling the goods. Demonstration. Demonstration means pointing out clearly the quality and features of the product and proving them to be the best. It is providing statement about quality, utility, performance and service of the product put up for the sale. Demonstration enables the salesman to show specific features of the product or service more clearly, which cannot be presented orally. Demonstration creates a lasting impression on the minds of the buyers. Also, it gives the prospects an opportunity to experience the benefits and utilities of the demonstrated product. By proper demonstration, the customer's sense of curiosity about the product is considerably satisfied. There has to be essential elements of demonstration. Following are the elements of good demonstration. Product should be available for displaying its features. If product cannot be available, then test reports, operator's opinion, survey findings should be made available that can be shown to the prospects. Prospects should be allowed to handle the product themselves. All the details should be discussed. Demonstration can be classified into two types. Demonstration in use. Its most effective form and shows the reality of the product when in use. For example, shirt, sweater, coats can be tried before buying. If the customer finds the product meeting his choice and requirement, they may experience the immediate impulse to buy. Demonstration of specific features. The products that are popular for their special features and advantages need demonstration of unbreakability, leak-proof, waterproof, crease resistance and so on. These specific features convince the prospect fully. Overcoming objections. Objections are very natural in selling. An objection is the expression of disapproval of an action taken by salesman. It is a feeling of disapproval and is usually raised by prospects. It means prospect needs some more persuasion to arrive at the decision. It is also known as sales resistance. Objections provide a golden opportunity for salesman to prove his point. The success of the salesman depends upon handling of objections tactfully and efficiently. Real and genuine objections are raised by the prospects since they really intend buying the product. Therefore, they raise objections to gather more information and knowledge for buying decisions. Handling objections. Salesman is discouraged when the prospects raise objections because they consider objections as refusal to buy. They apprehend that the negative attitude is reflected through objections and therefore prospects are not going to buy. A salesman should consider the objections sportingly and in positive manner and should welcome objections. Only intelligent and tactful salesman is able to handle objections tactfully. Following are the overcoming techniques: listening attentively, anticipating objections, admitting valid objections, preventing objections. There are several methods of handling objections. Few of them have been discussed as follows. Direct denial method. Under this method, prospect is told that he is mistaken. It is an offensive form of handling objections. This method can be used for broad-minded prospects. Indirect denial method. It is also termed as side-stepping method. Under this method, salesman agrees with the objections of prospect but subsequently differs in polite manner. This method is denying objections politely without offending the prospects. Reverse position method. This is also known as why method or question method. Instead of explaining, salesman asks why this objection. If the objection is silly, then prospect himself realize it and accept it. Boomerang method. It is also known as translation method. It converts the objection in the minds of the prospects into reason for making a purchase. Like if the price is too high, then salesman can say it is the reason why you need to buy this product. It requires accurate knowledge of the product and its selling points. Superior point or compensation method. In this method, the salesman frankly admits the validity of the objection raised by the prospect, but simultaneously offsets the objection by a superior point of greater advantage. The prospect's objections are not really disposed of. Only his attention is drawn from the objection to the compensating advantage of the product. Thus, while applying a particular method of overcoming objections, a successful salesperson brings the prospect to the final stage of selling process. The final stage in selling is the process is closing the sale. Unless the salesman is able to close the sale successfully, all the earlier efforts with the prospects simply go waste. Therefore, closing the sale is the most important and crucial stage from the point of the business. The salesman should try to convince the prospect through an effective presentation and demonstration. He should remain alert and keep calm to handle the situation. Moving towards closing a sale, the salesman should ask the prospect a series of questions. More the positive answers given by the prospects, the intelligent salesman drives the prospect towards closing the sale. That's all for today. In this episode, we learnt in detail the selling process. Selling process is a 7-step process. All the 7 steps are important from the point of view of business. This was all about personal selling and salesmanship. Best of luck, take care and bye.